Colbert has no talent. I mean, I could take anybody here. I could go outside in the beautiful streets and pick up a couple of people that do just as well or better. They get higher ratings than he did.
My mustache comes to you with a heavy heart because while I was on vacation, my parent corporation, Paramount, paid Donald Trump a $16 million settlement over his
1 second, Stephen Colbert was tossing out casual jokes. The next, he launched a full-scale comedic assault on Donald Trump, so brutal it felt like it needed a referee. Tonight, we're breaking down every savage second, from punchlines that stunned the room to moments that sent the audience into complete chaos. This wasn't just a roast, it was a masterclass in late-night warfare. Trust me, you've never seen Trump taken apart like this. Let's get into it.
Strike on September 2nd, but not the second video. Will you release video of that strike so that the American people can see for themselves what happened?
I don't know what they have, but whatever they have, we'd certainly release. No problem.
No problem, except for one problem. Yesterday, President Cranky Pants changed that to problem.
Stephen Colbert strolled onto the stage like a man who'd just discovered sarcasm was a renewable resource and decided to power the entire nation with it. Without missing a beat, he launched into a glorious comedic demolition, the kind of verbal impact that could have registered on the Richter scale.
I have no problem with releasing the full video of that strike on September 2nd off the coast of Venezuela. Secretary Hegseth now says...
You said that. I didn't say that.
I didn't say that. You said that. You're the one who said that. I'm not the president. You're the president.
Wait, enjoying the video. Let's make it official. Hit that subscribe button and stick around, because the best moments are still ahead. Now back to the action. The crowd barely had time to breathe before realizing they were watching a master craftsman at work. Every joke honed to a razor's edge and aimed straight at Trump, a man who somehow provides enough material to keep late-night writers employed until the sun finally burns out.
This year's Kennedy Center Honor Ceremony is the very first since Trump installed himself as chair of the Kennedy Center's board. I kind of agree. It seems like the commander-in-chief shouldn't...
Like an avalanche, tearing down a mountainside. Colbert didn't warm up, he didn't ease in at all. He slammed into that monologue like a comedian who'd just discovered a clearance sale on punchlines. Every line landed as if it had spent all day marinating in pure sarcasm, then been grilled to absolute perfection.
5 minutes between strikes, and they were waving overhead before the second strike, and that action could be interpreted as the survivors either calling for help or trying to wave.
As always, Trump supplied the main course contradictions, confusion, and confidence levels that defy measurable science. Colbert strutted straight past subtlety and dove headfirst into full theatrical exaggeration. He painted Trump as a man who treats facts like optional seasoning. Use them if you want. Ignore them if you'd rather freestyle your way through reality. With every joke, Colbert went deeper, dissecting Trump's grand declarations, baffling decisions, and those moments where absolute certainty collides with spectacular wrongness. Colbert framed it as an art form, the kind of misplaced confidence usually reserved for people who argue with GPS directions because they can feel north in their soul.
You ever hear the expression, that's why they have menus in restaurants. We're all different.
The world's stupidest question, answered by the world's hungriest man. What's my favorite thing about music? Probably.
As Colbert pressed on, his delivery turned into a symphony of controlled chaos. He layered sarcasm over mock confusion, sprinkled irony like parmesan, and served up a full commentary buffet that kept the studio audience buzzing with laughter. Trump's logic, his creative reinterpretation of logic, became the centerpiece. And Colbert mined it with the glee of someone discovering a long-forgotten carnival ride powered entirely by nonsense.
Despite the deal on Friday, in a truly foreseeable turn of events, Trump did not receive the Nobel Peace Prize. How dare you, Nobel Committee?
Every twist, every claim, every grand statement was transformed into a gleeful roast. Not malicious, just exquisitely sarcastic. Like a comedian taking a gold-plated opportunity and polishing it until it gleamed with pure absurdity. Colbert framed Trump's reactions as scenes ripped straight from a melodramatic soap opera, where every moment is dialed up for effect, the kind of performance where someone slams a door even when there isn't one nearby. He took that energy, wrapped it in satire, and served it with the comedic equivalent of raised eyebrows and profound, unimpressed silence. Then Colbert ramped things up even further by dissecting Trump's speeches, treating them like spontaneous puzzle generators. Every sentence became a riddle, every thought a breadcrumb, every conclusion a destination no one had asked to visit. Colbert dove into the confusion, like a researcher studying a rare linguistic phenomenon. How to say everything and nothing at the exact same time while maintaining absolute confidence and turning every ordinary moment into a cinematic showdown. He didn't need to exaggerate. Trump's reactions practically volunteered themselves for comedic dissection.
The man is a paragon of peace. He walks in the footsteps of Mahatma Gandhi and Martin Luther King. After all, who can forget what Nelson Mandela famously declared upon leaving prison? Fat, talentless Rosie O'Donnell should go back to Ireland.
From there, Colbert took aim at Trump's self-praise, presenting it as a unique, natural resource, endless, renewable, and entirely self-generated. He likened Trump's bragging to a fountain that can't be shut off, even as the plumbing begs for mercy. Every new claim of unmatched greatness only supercharged Colbert's comedic engine, letting him build entire segments around the growing gap between confidence and reality. He then waded into Trump's epic feuds, treating each one like a plot twist in a never-ending reality show written by someone who ran out of ideas but refused to stop adding episodes. Colbert reveled in reenacting the energy of Trump's posts without quoting a single word, capturing the frantic flair, the manufactured urgency, and the emotional turbulence of someone typing like they're racing a microwave timer. Then came the crescendo. Colbert held up Trump's contradictions like rare collectibles. Every reversal, every flip, every sudden pivot was displayed as if it belonged in an art exhibit titled "Decisions Made During a Spinning Carnival Ride." The sheer unpredictability became the joke. Trump's ability to change direction mid-sentence gave Colbert endless material, and he burned every bit of it for satire. By this point, the studio was practically vibrating with laughter, and Colbert still wasn't done. No matter how irrelevant the thread seemed, it somehow circled back. He wrapped a segment in a flourish of comedic grandeur, weaving together supreme self-confidence, dramatic reactions, ever-shifting narratives, theatrical speeches, and digital chaos into one perfectly absurd finale.
Accent. After losing his campaign for the thing you don't campaign for, Trump said he didn't do the peace deal for the Nobel. And the White House communications director, Stephen Chung, agreed, saying, President Trump will continue making peace deals, ending wars, and saving lives. He has the heart of a humanitarian. No, he has the heart of a humanitarian.
He treated Trump like a character in an endlessly entertaining saga, someone whose every move is guaranteed to leave the public stunned, confused, entertained, or all three at once. The takedown wasn't angry or bitter. It was pure comedic craftsmanship, sharp, witty, relentless, and refined like a satire masterclass. As he closed the bit, the audience erupted. Colbert didn't just mock Trump. He transformed him into the centerpiece of a comedy showcase so precise and so pointed it felt like watching a sculptor carve an entire statue with one long, uninterrupted chisel strike. The energy, the rhythm, the timing, it all fused into one spectacular comedic explosion. Just like that, the moment became legendary. But Colbert wasn't finished. He unleashed a sarcastic superstorm, carrying that momentum straight into another round of satire sharp enough to slice titanium. He treated Trump's public confidence like a priceless antique fragile, and perched on a pedestal that wobbles every time reality walks by. With each comedic swing, Trump's extravagant self-assurances were painted as handcrafted works of imaginative fiction, the kind written at 3 a.m. by someone who refuses to edit. Every claim became a glittering exaggeration waiting to be unwrapped. Colbert delighted in pulling at each thread, unraveling a tapestry held together by bravado, wishful thinking, and the unwavering belief that repetition can somehow turn fiction into fact.
Airports were in utter chaos and thousands without food benefits across America. Trump showed sensitive leadership and attended his second extravagant party at Mar-a-Lago in a week. Come on.
The chaos ignited again as Colbert turned his focus back to Trump. Trump's distorted public statements once more became prime comedic real estate, and Colbert dove into their winding structure with the enthusiasm of a scholar deciphering ancient scrolls that grow less coherent the further you read. Each pivot, every sudden tangent, every dramatic shift in tone felt like wandering through a maze, designed by an architect who changed the plans Mid-construction and never told anyone, Colbert highlighted this chaotic rhythm with full theatrical flair, guiding the audience as if through an art exhibit devoted entirely to verbal gymnastics. He then shifted his aim to Trump's grand self-image, treating it like a theme park built from confidence, marble columns and mirrors that slightly over. The larger-than-life persona was framed as a monument standing defiantly against logic, humility, and occasionally gravity itself. The spectacle wasn't just comedic, it was operatic, bursting with over-dramatized flair that practically begged for a soundtrack of heroic trumpets.
Then Trump trashed international efforts to do anything about global warming.
If you don't get away from this green scam, your country is going to fail. And I'm really good at predicting things, you know. They actually said during the campaign they had a hat, the best-selling hat. Trump.
In moments when Trump projected absolute certainty, Colbert leaned fully into the absurdity. He framed that confidence as the kind only someone can have who hasn't read the instructions but is still ready to explain exactly how the machine works to everyone else. Colbert thrived on the speed and precision with which Trump could reverse course, recalibrate, and land on a completely different viewpoint without ever acknowledging the first one existed. Each sudden shift felt like watching a weather report in a world where the forecast changes every 30 seconds and the meteorologist refuses to admit anything unusual is happening.
Okay. She has a lovely voice, but does Mar-a-Lago have a mandatory bare midriff policy? Tonight, we're doing wet t-shirt opera, okay?
Transitioning effortlessly, Colbert zeroed in on Trump's dramatic reactions to criticism. He framed them as full-blown theatrical productions overflowing with emotion, complete with slow-motion turns, perfectly timed spotlight cues, and invisible orchestras swelling at just the right moment. The intensity was electrified, exaggerated, and delivered with the passion of someone who believes every mild remark deserves to be immortalized as a saga. As the monologue unfolded, Colbert turned his attention to Trump's devotion to hyperbole, portraying it as a no-rules sport where statements are measured not by accuracy but by sheer enthusiasm. Every tiny detail was amplified into comedic fuel. Each embellishment, like decoration, stacked atop decoration in ever-growing sculpture of grandiosity that defied logic, proportion, and reason itself.
And I don't say that in a braggadocious way, but it's true. I've been right about everything.
Everything. I've been right about everything. I once thought I was wrong about being right about everything. Turns out I was wrong, right?
Then came Trump's competitive streak, which Colbert treated like an unstoppable force of nature. Every scenario, no matter how trivial, became a contest only he could win. Colbert dramatized it as though Trump were constantly declaring victories in events no one else even entered, awarding himself trophies for achievements unseen, unverified, and unacknowledged by any other living soul. Each decision turned into a comedic spectacle, a perfectly staged moment of spontaneous absurdity that left audiences equal parts baffled and delighted.
On his flight over to Israel, Trump was asked by Fox News whether the ceasefire he brokered might help him in the afterlife.
I don't think there's...
Trump's public rallies offered yet another treasure trove of material. Colbert painted them as high-energy carnivals where metaphors rode roller coasters. Facts wandered through funhouses and monologues stretched into epic sagas. The atmosphere, exaggerated to the extreme, was perfect for satire. Colbert leaned into the idea that each rally existed in its own universe, governed by its own rules, where the louder the delivery, the truer the claim automatically became. Embracing full theatricality, he described the speeches as sprawling odysseys, expanding with each retelling and fueled by imagination, stubbornness, and a complete disregard for mundane details.
We don't have footage from the ceremony yet because it won't actually air until later this month. But we do have, this is an actual transcript of some of Trump's actual opening monologue to the Kennedy Center audience. If there was one thread that connects all of these amazing artists together.
Colbert's take on Trump's reactions to bad news was another comedic highlight. He framed these moments as epic battles between optimism and reality, optimism always arriving in a cape, waving triumphantly while reality quietly stood by. The denial, the spin, the dramatic reframing all became part of a comedic choreography that Colbert mimicked with near-poetic exaggeration, digging deeper. Colbert explored Trump's knack for sparking new controversies just as old ones faded. He portrayed this cycle as a perpetual motion machine, powered entirely by impulse and the irresistible urge to reclaim the spotlight. Each new incident popped up with the precision of a theatrical plot twist, arriving just in time to overwrite the previous storyline before anyone had fully processed it.
Yesterday, Trump tried to help out some folks who'd been hurt by the tariffs. He announced a $12 billion bailout for American farmers. In the announcement, Trump claimed that the tariffs are not the problem, they're the solution, saying the bailout was funded by tariffs and that this money would not be possible without tariffs. No, you dingus, they need the money.
From there, Colbert zeroed in on Trump's habit of claiming expertise in any topic thrown his way. He framed it like a talent show where the contestant insists they can master every skill simply through confidence and repetition, whether the subject was complex, technical, or entirely new. Trump projected mastery with unwavering assurance, giving Colbert endless material for mock celebration. Throughout it all, Colbert didn't just land jokes. He worked like a master craftsman, wielding sarcasm with precision and turning every unpredictable trait into a perfectly timed punchline. The result was a prolonged, unstoppable comedic surge that left the audience breathless, delighted and thoroughly satisfied with the spectacle they'd just witnessed.